Hey, you. This is Untitled. I'm, what's the time? It's 4:15. Thursday in October, 11th, I think, of October. Auspicious numbers, and my dog, who's here, got to be the thumbnails. She woke me up this morning about 2 o'clock. Earlier than I'd hoped to be awake, I have to say. I was hoping to wake up at 4 o'clock, but it's 4:15 now, and I'm already done in London. A little geotagging as well. But what's with this warm weather? By geotagging, I mean geocentric tagging. You know, couldn't resist a little bit of, like where there's buildings works going on and they've got hoardings put up. You sometimes feel like it's so unattractive. Perhaps if it was used as a means of advertisement or promotion of a particular subject. And I can think of few more important subjects than to tell people that the earth is flat. It's not the most important thing, perhaps, but it's a game changer. I was talking to a Hare Krishna dude in Brighton yesterday. Unfortunately, I didn't have my phone with me, otherwise I would have loved to have picked that up, that conversation. Very interesting. But people always ask why it really matters, whether the earth is flat or why you're out here and so on. But I was just listening to a little bit of that John Smith Globeli earlier, the tour, and he was talking to some people, or maybe it was Jason of the Disbury that was talking to some people about why it really matters that we're lying, that we're lying, we're being lied to, and that people in the main are inured to this idea that we're we've been lied to. Everyone knows that the government's a bit corrupt and there's this and there's that, but we try and a new person will come in and all that. I do find that one of the challenges of of this awakening is to constantly have to deal with that character set. If you've got 10 people in a room, one of them are going to fill that role, aren't they? And every place you go, every room you go to, you will find another one who will come at you with exactly the same position. There was I. So, sorry about the bumping. I've not, fully engineered this yet. But hey, how about this weather? It's like 18 degrees at 4 in the morning. How does that work? 18 degrees centigrade, I should say. So if you're a Fahrenheit kind of person, that would be what, 65 Fahrenheit? So 65 Fahrenheit, good lord. And I'm talking again at 4:15 in the morning. It was as warm as that sometime yesterday or the day before, like in the middle of the day. Does anyone know, if you know this, could you maybe comment on this, that whether the mean temperature at new moon, at midnight for example, is warmer than at other times, say at full moon? Because if we're contending that, well, we know that the moon's light is cool, then we know that it's having an effect on the the mean temperature, so surely that must show up. I know we get a lot of clouding and whatnot. Oh, I'm going over the River Thames. Let me just give you a quickie view here, because it is always so pretty over the river. I love crossing the river. Water is very important, by the way. Like, water has special properties, special energies that you should nurture. I don't quite know, I don't claim to know it all, but I do think that water is an essential, well, we know it's an essential part of everything. Of course, we take note of it in the pool, in the bath, and in the rivers and lakes and seas, but we don't really note it so much in the air or ether and our bodies. But of course, it's I think it's one of the fundamental, well, it is one of the fundamental keys of everything. Anyway, so aside from the weather report, which would be interesting to know whether we're seeing cooler nights on average at the full moon and warmer nights at the new moon, which would make logical sense. It's almost like a monthly sort of season, you know, where you go from a summer to a winter through the course of the 14-day from full to new moon and then back again cycle. Sorry, I'm just cognizing. I'm just taking account of my position here, geotagging myself. You can, fortunately, you have the ability to fast forward this, so you don't have to, like, all my moments of slowness. There is so much mud flood type stuff around in London. I just, everywhere I look, I see, oh wow. But then you've got to ask yourself, how is this possible? It's obviously been dug out. I mean, it just makes, when you see how tight some of the buildings are to their sort of, you know, their foundings, it just doesn't make sense. But how did it happen? And how did it happen so relatively recently without us remembering? Anyway, I'm wanting to say that I'm grateful to, you know, those people who are putting their positive energy into moving this thing forward. And, you know, although we don't know where it leads, I made a comment somewhere the other day on YouTube which made me think this, or say this, that, you know, the genie is out the bottle whether we like it or not. I think that we can't have it go back in. It can't go back in. The system may want it to go back in, but it may also want genie out the bottle. So we're either going to find ourselves, you know, the whole thing the paradigm will shift such that people aren't able to pay attention to this and go forward with this, or they are, and it's going to be subsumed by a Donald Trump-esque version of, yes, we know the earth is flat and let's continue taking control of things for you. You know, just go back to eating your Cheerios, your popcorn, and what's it, your Rice Krispies and stuff. So I just wanted to say that I think the genie is out the bottle. I think that people who are kind of fighting to hold back that paradigm and keep the genie in, keep the lid on, I think you really need to look at yourself, you know, and ask yourself why, you know, why you're failing to kind of want to grasp these things. And maybe, you know what, in all truth, you can never grasp these things. Maybe with the best heart and the best will in the world, certain truths are just not possible for some of us to reach. You know, there may be truths that I can't yet conceive of or accept or be able to read and see. Because, you know, you put this good information about long distance photos and curvature formula. People, you know, you show them a curvature formula, and people who claim to be, you know, oh, I'm quite a smart person, you know, and I'm at university and so on. You show them these numbers and you say, well, here are the actual numbers, and they are deaf. deaf and some sort of music must be playing in their ears. I don't know what kind of trance music they're in, but you know, it stops them from hearing this stuff. And I'm not saying that that's, oh well, you know that's so whatever, but it is something. I mean, it is to me now, because I never had to, no one ever had to fight me to look into flat earth. I looked at it first and then threw it away or discarded it or set it aside for a few weeks until I started to niggle at me, and I think perhaps I'd had my DMT experience then. It's like, okay, there's definitely something amiss here, or something not right with what we've been taught. You know, much beyond the kind of modern versions of false flagging and you know shaping public opinion with media stunts like 9/11 and 7/7 and all of these horrific kind of mind games and events that have been perpetrated on people. I don't know. It just seems like, why would anyone, I know why, I'm kind of asking a question. I'm just, I guess, posing it out there, putting it out there. You know, why anyone would want to so badly, a person, I can understand a child, but an adult person, why they would want to forsake this beauty, this beautiful awakening and truth of what they are and what this is and so on. I don't know, maybe it's easier for me as a 50-year-old man. You know, I partied pretty hard in my time, and you know, I've done a fair few things. You know, I'm not saying I don't want to do more things and you know, a little bit more partying. I think, you know, although having my 18-year-old niece stay over and say, oh, I need to go to the bars and stuff, and so I'm out of touch with all of that. I barely touch alcohol, but you know, I think that it's easier for me perhaps to say that, oh, you don't need all of that stuff, when I've had it, you know, for a while. So you know, I don't want to come across all courty-torty, like it's all, you know, do what I do and say and what have you. But you know, because you can only I think you can only honestly come to this. And, you know, the preachers could never get me to come to this. You know, my parents could never get me to come to this, and the state and the authorities could never get me to come to this. You know, I could bring myself to this truth. You know, only me. No one was going to tell me, and which is why I know I can't tell you. I can't tell you. You have to find this for yourself. If you're still, you know, if you're still stuck on, yeah, it's flat, and that's all that I need to know. The Earth is flat, and I've been lied to by the government, and that's that. Well, we have been lied to by the government, but the government are not going to change themselves. They're not going to look at themselves. They're not going to, you know, investigate this. They're not going to do shit about this. Well, they don't have to, and they don't have to because the majority of people don't give a shit about this. They only give a shit about their TV programming and their income stream and their holiday plans and retirement plans and death annuities and you name it. But you know, the men get we get given quite a hard time actually about this, because I go around saying, and others do, and this is what I've learned along my truth-seeking journey, is that, you know, we live in a patriarchal system run by men, for men, maybe for homosexual men. I don't really know, but certainly when you look at the crumbs of the Vatican, you know, you see a lot of that kind of stuff. So you say, well, if they're running the show and there's a lot of that kind of... Anyway, I won't go into that side of things. You know, it doesn't matter if people are homosexual, though it does matter if there is a homosexual cult at the top. But I'm veering from the point. The point here is that maybe us men are far, far more important, than we've been allowed to give ourselves credit for. And but I mean that in a divine way, not in a sort of we need to run the businesses. Although I think there is a divine sense that the female energy is far better at creating laws, more balanced creating laws, and the masculine, divine masculine, would be better at sort of enforcing those said laws. But I'm not really into too much law enforcement. I mean, if people are living well, then they don't need law enforcement, and not really, not in that way. And if they aren't being squeezed, if their balls aren't being squeezed by the financial corruption of the system, and by the Darwinian dog-eat-dog way of getting a job and trying to stay in the hunt and whatnot, then perhaps their balls wouldn't be so tender. The balls that I'm interested in this conversation, because I don't mean the balls that of the earth that most people seem to think that they live on, are the underside of someone's ball. Can you imagine that? Ships and that sailing on the underside of your testicle. I mean, you can get crabs walking on the underside of your testicle, but they got like special means of hooking on, don't they? So that doesn't really count. And they're really quite light, so there's not much attracting them off, your ball bag. But I was interested in the nut, because I corrected my teacher, Bro Sanchez, American dude who I've learned a lot of stuff from. And he was talking the other day about screws and bolts, and I had to correct him, because it was like, no bro, you're talking about nuts and bolts. And there's a very important difference, because everything is meant to have come from in ancient Kemetic teachings, they talk about everything coming from two sort of creative forces, primarily Nut and Gabe, and Nut being the female energy, and Nut being like the nut, the surrounding shell, the thing from which everything comes from, right? Now, in the patriarchal system, we've tried to get rid of the nut and replace it all with the bolt, the cock. The nut, or the surround, or the womb, actually is where it all comes from. The divine, sacred, feminine womb is actually what we used to. I think the ancients call it the Shela Nga. I think that's what the Celtics call it. And they've got all these vaginas on their old churches and stuff like that. This upset my... When I first discovered this about 5-6 years ago, I put this on Facebook, and it upset my family. Oh, don't talk about it. But, the truth is that actually we are now so stuck in our kind of cock mentality, or the male phallic, penis thing, worship mentality, that we are loath to look at the vagina, or the womb, I should say, more accurately, as the kind of the surround, the nut, the giver of life. But then it got me to thinking about, well, what do we call the nut? And we call the nut the testicles. We call that the nut. So is that, am I to think that, I don't know if I'm meant to turn right here. No, I think I can. Yeah, why not? I think this is like not scientific, okay? So don't what is it? Don't kick me in the nuts, or don't bust my balls. But what if the nut in your, I'm talking to the blokes now, the nut, plural, in your trousers are external from your body, because they are not actually of your body, but they are actually of the female body, and that we are carrying the female essence. We are protecting the female essence in our pants, trousers in front of us, and we keep it at the right temperature, and but we can't have it inside of our body because it's alien to our body. It's like the female thing, right? This is just throwing it out into the ether for kind of people to chew Okay, I don't need to make oral references while I'm talking about nuts, but I do think that even if it's a bit of a stretch to say this is the female essence that we are carrying, imagine the concept that when the female stimulates the male and he ejaculates, he brings in that ejaculation, he's bringing together from the nut, the female part, with the gabe, the male part. He's bringing those two together and ejaculating both male and female into parts, into the females, into the shell of the nut, into the warm and waking kind of cushion, the place from whence the mother, from whence everything would spring. Don't get me wrong, this is not me about, I am not, let me just say this quite clearly, I am not trying to replace the masculine ahead of the feminine here. No, this is not about that. You know, my wife will tell you, my people who know me will tell you that, you know, I'm all about the equal, and that's where we're at, is that here we are equal, but perhaps in the divine, the feminine role is primary, you know, because you need that place for which the two are going to conjoin and create. Okay, so you know, there's no getting away from it that the scientists will never ever be able to create what the creator, us, we can create when we come together. They will never do that, and then never let them think that of you. Never let them think that they are somehow greater than your creative power. They're never ever going to achieve that. They're going to pretend, they're going to put machines and robots and things in your way and let you believe bullshit. Put you know, comics and put a plastic robot and try and pretend, oh my god, it's all acting, it's all staged. My battery's nearly dead. I'm up at Crystal Palace right now, which is yeah, man, the home of they've got a tower here, which is a radio mast that stands so tall that you can reach America with your signals. Now, obviously they don't want you to know that, but they put that up here in the 1950s, and they were very proud of it. But they weren't telling people. Obviously, they were taking signals straight across the Atlantic. They were saying they were able to bounce things off bloody pockets of air. What a load of bollocks. Anyway, I'm going to call it short there. If you've had the misfortune of stumbling upon this and you still think that you live on a spinning ball, yeah, watch that Eric Dubay one, the 200 Proofs Earth's Not a Ball. That's pretty good place to start. Yeah, all the Mark Sargent stuff, 10 proofs or whatever, 10 clues. These are entry-level places, you know, so start there and keep moving. And I wish you well. I wish you luck. And yeah, like the Krishna dude told me or reminded me yesterday in Brighton, it is all about love. Yeah. All you need is love. Well, you need a bit more wisdom and you need a lot more knowledge, but you also need this love. Don't lose sight of that, man. Don't let the trolls pull you out of your love vibration, because that's really what they want to do. Pull you out of the love vibration and bring you into, like, making a decision, choosing Coke over Pepsi, black over white, and woman over man, and all that crap. Yeah. We are one and we need one another. Yeah, we do need one another. Get out of your kind of Darwinian bullshit mindset. It is bullshit. You know, I was suckered by that for many, many years. And I'm a fairly bright guy, so whatever. Have a superb day. It's 11:10, isn't it? Or 10:11, depending on how you do your